Good evening. Welcome to the January 14th, 2019 regular meeting of the Temple ISD Board of Trustees. Our first item tonight is to declare a quorum, which we do have. The second item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Will everybody please stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Item number 3 is public forum. Do we have anybody signed up tonight? No? Okay. All right. Thank you. Item 4 is superintendent's recognitions. Mrs. Parks.
Examples of adults who have stepped up to make sure that our local schools are ready for the inquiring minds of today's students. Our locally elected school trustees work tirelessly to make certain that the children of Temple ISD have access to the best schools we can offer. Our school board members are volunteers who donate hours of their time to ensure the very best for our students. Trustees receive no pay for their work. The following video from the Texas Association of School Boards provides an overview of the crucial role that our board members play in helping to set the direction for our school district.
My name is Rachel, and I'm in the 6th grade. I was invited to go to a school board meeting to get an award, but I didn't know what the school board did. So I asked my grandpa Freddie, since he used to be on the board. He said, well, school boards are kind of like the grandparents of the schools.
They want good things for the students and staff. Even though grandparents aren't always around, we do our best to help you learn and grow. Let me see if I can explain it in another way. Think of the school board team as building a bridge between the community and the schools. They are your voice. Board members listen to parents, community members, school staff, and even the students about their hopes and dreams for their schools. They share these messages with the superintendent and other school leaders, and they advocate for their school district by speaking up for them with other elected officials and within the community. Another important job of the board is to provide direction for the schools. School board members choose a destination for the district. They might like the students to go to Topeka, Kansas, Paris, France, or even Mars. But they don't tell the staff how to get there. They empower the superintendent, staff, and students to choose their path. The board also makes a lot of decisions, like hiring a superintendent. The superintendent is the leader who makes sure the daily operations of the schools run well. The superintendent helps determine the best routes on the map, along with the staff and students. The school board also ensures that resources are in place so that the staff can complete their work and make sure students can reach their destinations. Let's say that the schools want their students to be able to play a musical instrument if they'd like, or fix a car, or understand algebra or other opportunities. The board makes sure that the school district has the money, staff, and materials in the right places at the right time to ensure success. The board and superintendent team help students complete their journey in their local schools and prepare them for the future.
After talking to Grandpa Freddie, I had a much better understanding of what school boards do. They build a bridge so that the community and the schools can communicate, and they set destinations for the schools so that I can reach my goals. The school board looks out for me, just like my grandpa and grandma do.
On behalf of Temple ISD, we thank each one of you for all that you do to support our students and our community. So thank you very much.
And
And while folks are standing, I will just tell you, if you can't tell by the outpouring of gifts from each campus and the amount of people that showed up at the board meeting, there is just no greater feeling than to work for a board that has the singular purpose of supporting the best interests of our students and staff. So we truly appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for what you do for TISD. Truly appreciate it. Thank you.
I just want to thank everybody in the district and the parents and the community for the support they give the district. This has been one of the best experiences of my life being on the school board. And the recognition y'all have done tonight, the little gifts, have always been appreciated. Just want to thank everybody.
The next recognition tonight is the CREST Award, which is the Counselors Reinforcing Excellence for Students in Texas. And it's sponsored by the Texas School Counselors Association. And this is awarded to school counseling programs that meet the CREST requirements. I'm pleased to announce that Temple ISD has 10 CREST Award winners for the 2017-18 school year. So please come forward to be recognized when your name is called. First, we have Courtney McCall from Western Hills, and this is her 4th consecutive year to receive this award.
You want to stand up
Jamie Durham, Travis Science Academy. This is also a Lone Star Award for her for 4 consecutive years. Brandy Cantu, Lamar Middle School. Beverly Stevens from Bonham Middle School. Amy Contrusi, Jan Vinci, Michelle Copeland, Yasmin Corbin, Kevin Wilburn from Temple High School.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Sharon Hardwick from Thornton Elementary.
Thank you.
Charlotte Hussey from Jefferson Elementary. Tammy Earl, Scott Elementary. Sarah Childers from Kennedy Powell. Lauren Pruitt from Edwards Academy. These CREST recipients will receive their awards at the Professional School Counselors Conference in San Antonio next month. But on behalf of Temple ISD, we just thank you for your service and commitment. And now we would like to recognize TISD Leadership Cohort participants.
Thank you very much. Just a quick word on our cohort. Mr. Posey, Dr. Ott, members of the board. Each year, the campus principals and the department directors are asked to nominate individuals from their campus or their departments that have the skills that they feel like that would make a good leadership at the next level. And so after these are nominated, they serve a full year, and it's actually a calendar year from January through December of 2018. These nominees, they actually spend a year being exposed to the workings of the 4 different departments. There's a leadership seminar that Dr. Ott leads for them, and then also they're allowed to job shadow any individual on the campus or anywhere else that they'd like to that works in an area that they have an interest in. So we had 16 this year. Actually 17, but one didn't make it, but we have 16 for tonight. So I'm going to have Ms. Parks read their names, and I will present them their certificates of completion, and then I'd like for them to shake your hands, okay? So I'll stand here. Y'all saw what they did. If you'll just do the same thing.
So please come forward when your name is called. Nicholin Weber from Bonham. Maria Inman from Cater. Tracy Newman, Cater. Amanda Kendrick, Hector P. Garcia. Antonise Ross, Jefferson. Kelly Brown, Kennedy Powell. Denise Chisholm, Meredith. Amanda Winkler, Scott Elementary. Elise Fancher, Temple High School. Pedro Hernandez, Travis, Science Academy.
Just might say that Pedro started this as a high school teacher and ended it as an assistant principal.
Courtney Mitchell, Temple High School. Amy Skopak, Transportation. Trisha Mitchell, Western Hills. Courtney McCall, Western Hills. John Granger, Wheatley. And Thomas Oliver, Wheatley.
Item number 5 is executive hires. Mr. Palmer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Posey, members of the board, and Dr. Ott. I actually wanted to see if I could use my button at my seat, but I was already up here, so I'm just going to turn this over to Lisa Adams. This is actually in her department, and allow her the opportunity to announce our new hire.
Good evening, Dr. Ott, Mr. Posey, members of the board. We are bringing to you a consideration for approval of the Director of Information Technology tonight. The departmental interview committee, consisting of Vance Willis, Rex Threet, David McCauley, Ken Wolf, Renata Rogers, Dr. Beth Jenowitz, Adrian Lopez, and Sandra Atmar, selected from a field of 39 applicants, 6 candidates to interview for the position of the Director of Information Technology. From this round of interviews, the committee sent 3 candidates to participate in a second round of interviews with the senior leadership team. Both committees unanimously selected Mark Civic as their finalist for the Director of Information Technology. Mr. Civic has both a Bachelor of Arts in Economics and a Master's of Business Administration from the University of North Carolina. For the past 14 years, he's worked in the field of information technology as a lead system administrator, an IT manager, and an IT director at McLean Company. Mark brings not only his years of experience to the position, but also a wide range of technology expertise. His decision to join Temple ISD was centered on his desire to be in a position where he can make a difference. Mark is married to Natalie, and he has his family here with him, as well as his 4 children. He has 4 children, Clara, Gabby, John, and Lexa. So at this time, the committee recommends to the board Mr. Mark Civic as the Director of Informational Technology at Temple ISD.
Thank you, Mrs. Adams. Does the board have any questions? This does require a vote. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gaines, seconded by Dr. Sanhi. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Like sign. The ayes have it. It is approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. I'd like to thank the board for consideration and for obviously the approval. I'm really looking forward to being able to take what I've been doing over the past 20 years and actually make a difference in the community, to help serve the people who actually service our children and can enrich their lives and actually do some good. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, item 6, the board president's report. Item A, the first day to file for the school board election is Wednesday, January 16th, 2019. And the last day to file for the school board election is Friday, February 15th, 2019 at 5 p.m. And this year, District 1 and District 6 are up for election. And a copy of the board policy BBA legal is included listing the eligibility qualifications for running for a board of trustee position. Is there any questions? All right, thank you. Item B is consideration for approval of superintendent's yearly appraisal. I reviewed with Dr. Ott the appraisal that the board members placed on review, compiled it all together, and we went through it together. And I'm going to enter it into the record, read the report. For a number of years since Dr. Battershell took over, we've always done the superintendent's appraisal in public for transparency issues, and this year is no different. We will continue the same process. The Temple ISD Board of Trustees Superintendent Appraisal of Dr. Bobby Ott is based on his hire date of June 2018 through December 2018. The format for this review is an overview provided by Dr. Ott to the board members. The items are categorized by 5 domains: board and community relations, district management, student achievement, human resources, and communications marketing. Each board member completed a grading process of each domain using a 1 to 5 scale, included their comments and perspectives. The first domain is board and community relations, and the average rating among the board members is 4.4. And some of the comments included was works with all city, county, state, and community organizations to meet the needs of students and the community in a coordinated manner. He does a good job in delivering objective guidance to the board with little to no bias. He began his term as superintendent in getting to know his board of trustees, those he did not know very much about, and everyone involved in the inner workings of TISD. Dr. Ott did not waste any time trying to secure good relationships with the city, Temple College, local business leaders, community leaders, and state legislators. Domain 2 is district management, and the average rating was 4 among the board members, and some of the comments from the different board members on this domain. Dr. Ott is an effective leader. He is focused on student learning, growth, and success. Implements programs within budget limits. I very much appreciate the conservative nature of our finance and facilities departments. It is so important to have confidence in the people running this department, and I certainly do. Domain 3 is student achievement. Average rating among the members is 3.7. Academics. It is so fortunate that our administration recognizes the need for intentional planning and training when implementing technology in the classroom. I have seen other districts stumble in this area by purchasing expensive toys for the classroom rather than using technology as a real tool for learning. Our blended learning program has the potential to maximize our time with the students and keep them engaged. Couldn't be prouder of our attendance rate at this time. I feel this is due to the programs in place that support a larger group of the student population. Behavior continues to work on all possible ways to address our students' needs. Academics. This is the topmost priority of this board and Dr. Ott. Student achievement is a motivating factor in every program that is implemented in this district. Dr. Ott sees it as his duty to make sure all stakeholders share the sense of urgency regarding student learning. Domain 4, human resources. Average rating, 3.6. Some of the comments. Dr. Ott is developing and monitoring long-range plans for school and district technology and information systems, making informed decisions about computer hardware and software, and staff development and training needs. Diversity. We are on the right path. It also helps our students to someday envision themselves in some of these roles and positions. Stabilizing leadership. Identifies staffing needs based on district guidelines. Recommends and hires highly qualified candidates. Teacher retention. Our increased teacher retention rate and job satisfaction rates are encouraging. Domain 5 is district communications, and the average rating was 4.6 among the members. Marketing. I'm excited about the standardization and implementation of TISD's social media presence. This department will add an element of positive culture that we have been missing, not for lack of positive stories to tell, but for lack of a solid plan for telling those stories. Effectively communicates district discipline plan to students, parents, and community. Our staff feels the excitement. It shows by the attendance. Happy staff leads to happier students. Dr. Ott is delivering on the promises he made during his job interview. Transparency in action. And in the past annual superintendent's review, at the completion of this review, it will be recommended by the Temple ISD Board of Trustees to extend Dr. Ott's contract. And on behalf of the board, as president of the board, I signed this document along with Dr. Ott last week. And this item does require a motion.
I make a motion to approve a one-year contract extension for Superintendent Dr. Bobby Ott's contract ending June the 30th of 2022, and compensation will be considered during the annual budget process.
Motion by Ms. Suarez. Is there a second?
Second that motion.
Seconded by Mr. Gaines. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Like sign, the ayes have it. The motion is approved. Thank you, Dr. Ott. Appreciate everything you've done since the summer, since you came on board. And was anything that the members like to say at this point?
Thank you for all you do. We really appreciate you.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Stuck with us.
Yeah.
Well, can I say something?
It's your time. Yeah.
All right, good. This is my first superintendent's appraisal. And so I just want to say, one, I'm glad it's over with. And two, much of the success is obviously because the team I work for and the team I work with. We have a wonderful board. We know that. And this month just accentuates that, but we've known that all along. But I have a fantastic group of administrators and staff, cabinet, Marilyn Crumnow, all the assistant soups, Christine, principals that are here. I mean, everybody just does a fantastic job. And as I said earlier in describing the board, everybody really has the singular motive of doing what's right for kids. And I'll also tell you, I really appreciate the diversity of this board. That's very important when you're talking about working with our staff and students. And I don't just mean diversity in terms of race or ethnic. I'm talking about perspective and how they think. You know, when you see our vision and mission and belief statements, those are things that were created by this team up here. And they truly reflect what we need to do for our students. We have a ways to go, and we know that, and we're going to keep chipping away and keep moving forward. And we're not going to stop. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate your vote of confidence. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ott. All right, anything else? Item C is a 2018 through 2020 TASB Advocacy Agenda, and the information was included in the board packet. If you have any questions, we can pass those questions on to TASB. Item D is the TASA, TASB Legislative Conference, February 26, 2019, and information is included in the board packet if you wish to attend. And E is future items discussion. Is there anything the board members will wish to include in this section? All right. And under important dates, the one thing I want to mention and then turn over to Dr. Ott is next Monday at this time on Martin Luther King Day, the MLK March from the police department will begin at 3 o'clock. I know I'm planning to participate. Dr. Ott's going to participate. So I would encourage, if it works for your schedule and you're able to come out yourself if you're able to. So yeah, this will be an important event for our community. With that, I turn it over to Dr. Ott.
Okay, if I can draw your attention to the important dates in your packet, I'm actually going to start with yesterday. I do want to thank those that showed up to the mayor's New Year's prayer service. Mr. Gaines, I thought you did a fantastic job during the program, and TASB was certainly well represented in that. Tonight at 7 o'clock, and we actually will have a few of our board members and staff members leaving perhaps early from this meeting because we do have National Honor Society induction at 7 p.m. So when you see some of the board members excusing themselves, that would be why. Let's see, January 15th, we actually have the Chamber of Commerce Leadership Temple, and that's actually tomorrow. And I emailed the board the agenda for that, and you're more than welcome to show up to any or all of it. And it's just I guess the school district's part of the rotations, our opportunity to show what we do in the school district, answer any questions, and participate in the Leadership Temple. Dan mentioned the January 21st, next Monday, NAACP MLK March. January 22nd, we have the TASB Wildcat Dash 5K. For those of you that do not feel like running it, you can join me in walking the 5K because I will be doing that. Just the same, we can still get it done, right? January 23rd through the 25th, 8th grade career days at Temple High School and CTE. I would really encourage you to show up to that. It's 3 days because it's spread over 3 different middle schools. I emailed that agenda as well. It's not only an opportunity to see what our students are getting engaged with, but it's also an opportunity to thank our businesses, local businesses that are showing up and providing these opportunities for our students. So I would really encourage you to try to show up to some part of that if you can. January 23rd, you'll see THS Program Showcase. So one of the things that we're trying to do starting this year is really put more of a marketing spin on any type of activity that we have, whether it's an open house or whatever it may be. We have 4 fantastic programs: fine arts, advanced academics, CTE, and athletics over at the high school. And so instead of turning into kind of an open house, it's a chance to showcase, and that's what you will see. We're really going to set it up in a way as if we were recruiting. You can't assume that you have everybody that's in your zone. So it's just a chance for us to really feature our programs. So if you can make that, I think that would be a good thing. January 24th, Wildcat Mentor Mid-Year Event. There's plenty of mentors in this room. I'd encourage you to show up at that. I don't have the time yet, but it does look like the location is Spare Time Fun Center. I'll be at TASA Midwinter, at least for 2 of those days, Sunday and Monday. And then January 29th, we have the Temple Chamber of Commerce Annual Salute to Business. And I believe Marilyn has sent those invitations out for those of you that want to participate in that. We have our Policy Committee the 30th and the 31st, the Facilities Committee. College Information Night, January 31st. I want to talk a little bit about this. The high school has put together a focus group of parents, largely seniors and juniors, and basically asked the question, what are some of the things that you wish you would have known in supporting your child going through the application process? And whatever gaps came of that, those are gaps we need to fill. And so we're going to start trying to do that, and we have plenty of dates coming up, and this will be the first one, and there's a lot of topics that will be covered from the college application process, start to finish. But then after that, February 6th, we'll have a FAFSA night, March 26th, an admissions info night, and April 17th, scholarships, transcripts, and GPA. And I'll send this stuff to you guys as we get closer. But the first one, the more immediate one, is the one that's January 31st, 5:30 to 6:30 at the THS library. And then the last 2 things I have, or the last thing I have on here, is the February 26th TASB Legislative Conference. And that's something that if you decide you want to go to it, I think Marilyn may have sent that to you as well, and you can certainly register. Some of you have expressed interest on keeping up legislatively. So I sent you a couple numbers that you could text and to get updates through, whether it's Raise Your Hand, Texas, or TASB. And not only that, but as I get TASA daily summaries and as we internally work with the Bell County Area Superintendent's Group to summarize bills that are of interest, I will send that information to each of you as well via email. Okay? And then you have an addendum, like always, on the back, and I believe it's fine arts programs that are coming up as well. Thank you, Dan.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ott. Item 7 is consent items. Consideration for approval of the following group of items, 7A through F1. Is it the board's wish to hear these individually or as a whole?
Make a motion that we approve them all as a whole.
Motion by Mr. Gaines,
I'll second.
seconded by Mrs. Gowan. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign have it. The items are approved. Item 8, action items. I'm going to take something out of order. I'm going to start off with 8C, Finance and Facilities, and Mr. Boyd.
And we have some students here from the Superintendent's Advisory Council that have come to attend tonight. If you're in attendance, please stand, be recognized.
Thank you very much for coming. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Y'all might want to be doing this someday too. Or you might see it and say, I don't want to do that. Now, I know. So, one way or the other. All right.
And we do appreciate your service and agreeing to serve on this. Thanks.
You bet. Thank y'all. Why don't you, would you mind each one standing up and telling us who you are?
I'm Kate Regan, and I go to Trappist Middle School. I'm Luke Thompson, and I go to Bonham Middle School. I'm Michael Barford, and I go to Bonham Middle School. I'm Jason Baker, and I go to Bonham Middle School.
So these were the middle school representatives tonight, I take it. Awesome.
Yeah, let me just make a comment with this group, because we're meeting this week. Let me tell you, just because they're in middle school doesn't mean they can't hold their own with the high schoolers in that group. I promise you they can. And they've given very, very valuable input. We identified 4 issues, and we've chunked those 2 by 2. This meeting that we're having this week, we're going to go over the other 2. And they're providing a lot of guidance and feedback and user information for us to consider, and we've already taken a few actions, but we have some others to take moving forward. And we have, I think, 2 or 3 meetings left, and they're a very special group. I look forward to working with you guys, continuing to work with you guys. So thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
All right. Very excited to bring something tonight to you all that we've been working on for a long time, and I'm excited to see representatives from the fine arts community here at Temple High School tonight. We have been working for several months on, well, we've been working much longer than that as a team, and when I say we, I talk about Stantec Architects, American Constructors, the Temple ISD Administration, Ken Wolf, Katrina Lott Speech, and multiple others that have been providing input and looking at plans and trying to move this forward. And back in September, we took bids on the improvements to fine arts. We needed to do some work to get that into a manageable budget. So since that time, we've been doing that with the help of the team and everyone involved in that. So what we want to do tonight is to bring you a recommended GMP, which is a guaranteed maximum price for the improvements to fine arts at Temple High School. But before we get to the action piece, I want to show you some pictures of that. We want to bring to you tonight and show you what we're looking at and where we're headed with this group. This is the footprint currently for fine arts at high school, and there's lots of different angles to look at. So don't know which one I need to look at. I'll show it up here. How about that? Because that board members.
I think it'll only work on these.
It'll only work on these. Okay. Well, then we'll go this route. So the footprint currently is right in here. So with this project, what we'll be doing is a full renovation of all of the existing fine arts spaces that we have, and then we'll be building on an addition with a band hall, fine arts entry, and fine arts gallery space. 31st Street runs right here, so this is north. So this is all going to be on that west side of the campus, and I'm very excited about what this represents, as well as repurposing a large piece of the footprint, but then adding on to that also. So let's look at some images. This is what we anticipate that addition coming out looking like. That would be representing the band hall right here, the band hall addition, with this being the existing part of the building, and this over here being the 9th grade center where it sticks out. So that kind of gives you an idea of where that will be. At night, really want to make a statement with this too. This is something that I think is very important to the school district, to the community, to the board, to the facility committee. This is an opportunity because it faces I-35. This is a wonderful opportunity to really get a billboard, a face, if you will, of Temple High from I-35. And I'll show you what that'll look like here in just a minute. That's another angle from it. Again, this is looking kind of from the northwest and looking back. Here you see a courtyard area that we'll be able to develop a secured courtyard area that will have nice fencing so that students, specifically visual arts, can go out in this area and have a secured area in which to do their work and benefit from natural light. Another angle there of night, and again you see the big Temple T, lots of blue and lots of things lit up to really accentuate who we are. So here's a look from the interstate. If you're on the I-35 access road, you can see, and what this does, this gives us a really significant entry point for fine arts, and something that will be very visible, again, from the general public from I-35. And at night, it's going to look like that. So you'll have a really nice lit up feature when the stadium's lit up, and you'll have this lit up. That'll be a very, what we think is going to be an attractive feature. Let's go inside. This will be the reception area. Right now, we don't have a reception area and have not had a reception area. And so this will be a nice place for visitors to actually come in and for people to get checked in and to access this department. As you walk out of that area, you come into the art gallery area. And this is an area, a hallway, that'll double as an area for us to feature students' artwork. And it's not just a wall. It'll have some casework in places here where you can actually come in, kind of like stores used to have display spaces with mannequins. Not that we'll have mannequins in there, but for any art that will be in there, we'll have an entry point into here where they can set that up, shut that off, and then have a really nice viewing piece for anyone to come through. And this will be a very important thoroughfare as you come in the building from that fine arts side, so it'll be right there in front of you.
So this goes back to the idea of trying to market, once again, when you walk right into the high school, if you look to the left, you see the ID wall, right, to really kind of highlight our students that are graduating, kind of ID. And then obviously we'll have this art gallery here as you walk in.
This is a look at what the band hall will look like. The band hall, like I said, this is the new part that will be added on. Everything else inside is going to look new, but this is actually the addition. And so we'll have a new space there with some natural light that'll be off to the north, which will be nice to have that. And then a nice new improved space. I don't know when that band hall was last improved. Was it when it was constructed? I think that's correct, but I was.
Small upgrades around the edges for storage and things like that, but that's all.
That's the interior looks pretty much like it looked in '65. I think.
It's gotten.
I'm a '65 model too, and you know, you need some work from time to time. But that'll really be a nice new space for our band program. Here's a look inside the one of the art classrooms, And again, one thing that we tried really hard to do, and we weren't able to do it as bring in as much natural light as we had originally intended, but we still got a significant amount. And at least one of the classrooms will open up out into an outer area with a kiln area. Right now, we have our kiln kept in an outdoor portable. We'll have that indoor, and then we'll have some nice natural light coming in there. And then there's your look again at night as you drive up to the front. So we're very excited to bring this plan to you again. This is a very short explanation of a lot of work over many, many months, and I just want to say I appreciate all the work that people have done in this room in getting us to this point. So tonight we bring to you a recommended guaranteed maximum price of $9,375,785. This will all be funded out of bond money, and in your packet you have all of the supporting detail, and if you have any questions on that, I'm not going to go through that, but if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Craig Eilers is here with American, and he would be helpful to answer those if you have any.
Is there any questions for Mr. Boyd? If not, this is an action item.
I move to approve.
Motion by Mrs. Gowan,
Second.
second by Mr. Gaines. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign, the motion is approved. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Yeah. Item 2 is consideration for approval of change order for the administration building project.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Posey. Very quickly here, you've got an explanation in your packet of what we're bringing to you tonight. Bottom line, the entire budget for this project, everything here in this location, was $12 million. And as everyone remembers, the reinvestment zone contributed $10 million of that. Temple ISD contributed $2 million of that. That bottom line total budget has not changed and will not change, and everything that we've done on this building and to furnish it and equip it has all come in within that $12 million budget. However, the GMP, or the guaranteed maximum price for the actual construction, was originally approved at a little over $10.3 million. Originally, there were a lot of security upgrades and technology upgrades that we planned to do on our own. We decided about halfway through the process it would be more advantageous for everyone if we folded that work into the contract that American had. And so to do that, it changes the amount of guaranteed maximum price for what we pay American. All it does is, in reality, shift the money that we would have paid for anyway into their contract. It doesn't cost us anything extra. We did not go over the budget. It's just moving it from TISD controlled money over to theirs. And so tonight we bring to you the total for all that security and technology and AV work was $374,116. So tonight we bring you a change order for your consideration to approve, to change order the guaranteed maximum price contract with American to include that amount, since it was done out of that part of the project.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Any
Brown.
questions on that, or is there any explanation further you'd like to have?
Any other questions?
Move for approval.
Motion by Mrs. Suarez, seconded by Mrs. Gowan. All in favor signify by saying aye. Oh, Ms. Davis, I'm sorry, apologize. Ms. Davis. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Like sign, the motion passes. Thank you.
Good deal. Thank you.
Sorry, we have a couple board members that have kids that's in the National Honor, so they're leaving, so I will be taking over the rest of the meeting. Human Resources. Mr. Palmer?
Mr. Gaines, Dr. Ott, members of the board, we have a couple of recommendations here for teachers at this time. Dawn Mitchell and Kelly Skrabonic. These are replacing those that retired or will retire in the next few weeks as far as at the different campuses. One, if you notice, is at Travis and the other is at Ray Allen. So I put that motion before you.
Move for approval plus the addendum.
Second.
Well, was there any questions, first of all?
Ready to go.
So we do have a motion and a second, motion by Ms. Suarez, second by Ms. Gowan. Any, all in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Motion approved.
Thank you very much.
Curriculum and instruction. Ms. Adams?
He didn't do the calendar.
Oh, I'm sorry. Consideration approval for the,
Mr. Palmer?
Mr. Palmer,
You
Mr.
have the
Calendar. Calendar.
Trying to save time. Each of you have a copy of the 2019-2020 calendar. That's a little difficult to say, but it should be in your board packet. In reality, there is very little difference between this year's calendar, which seems to be very popular with the teachers, and as far as I know, with the students and the parents. We've had a lot of comments about it that have been very positive. Next year, the only difference is there's a few less days at the front end, and we put some training days during the calendar instead of holidays that were this year. And that allows a little flexibility as far as days off for some of the folks that are 226 and so forth. But really outside of that, it's a short first semester, which it will always be, unless we start very, very early or do exams after we come back, and that's not real popular with anyone, particularly in the high school. And so we're looking at pretty much the same calendar as this year. I would take any questions that you might have, anything that you've seen on there that you have a question about or comment, either one.
Any questions?
We've got two parents in here. You okay?
I'm good.
Okay.
This is an action item, consideration or approval of the 2019-2020 TASB calendar. This action.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Gowan, second by Ms. Davis. All in favor? Say by aye. Aye. Ayes have it.
Okay.
Approved. Thank you.
We'll run it. Thank you.
Good evening again, Mr. Gaines.
Sorry,
and,
Ms.
Dr.
Adams.
Ott. You bet, no problem. So I'm here today to present the district annual report for 2017-18. So the information that will be shared tonight is a synopsis of all that's required to be shared from last school year. We are required to present this annual report once the Texas Academic Performance Report, otherwise known as TAPR, is published, and that's been released just a little bit late this year from TEA. That comes to us directly from TEA, and it was not released until just recently, so we're able to share this. So what you'll find throughout this report is you have already heard much of this information, because when we get this information, we want to share it with you immediately and not wait until 6 months later. And so you may find that you've heard this before, but I've tried to summarize it in a nice little package for you. Okay? So today we're going to, the components of the annual report are, again, the TAPR, the Texas Academic Performance Report, the Student Performance in Post-Secondary Institutions, the PEIMS Financial Standards Report, the District Accreditation Status, Campus Performance Objectives, the Report on Violent or Criminal Incidents, and there's a glossary. Now, we also are required to have a hard copy of that report, and so I have a copy of that, and so does Mr. Haugeberg in Student Services, so it is available for review, and it will be posted online at the conclusion of our presentation. Okay? So the first part is the TAPR, the summary of the assessments. And this information was shared with you in November when I shared the assessment presentation. Not in November, in September. But 10 of the 13 areas in math and reading increased last year. We had no change in 6th grade math, and so that's an area of focus for us this year with our goals and objectives. In the area of English language arts, so the writing assessments as well as our English 1 and 2 assessment and social studies and science, we had increased in 8 of our 9 assessments. And so again, we're moving in the right direction with our academics and continue to focus on those areas, specifically that writing area that we're focused on. The other components of the TAPR that we are required to share with you is our attendance rate. And so, as you see, we increased 0.1%. And so Eric's done a great job, his department, in developing a really strong attendance plan this year, and our campuses have done an amazing job. And so that's something I know you hear about quite a bit because we are focused on that. Our graduation rate, we increased 2.3% from the year before, and our dropout rate has increased just a tad bit as well. Now, if you'll notice on the report, we have provided a link to the TAPR because it is no longer a static document. The intent is it's a live document. In fact, we got a new updated document over the weekend. And so instead of providing that hard copy of that document, we wanted you to have that because it will change over time. The second component of the district annual report is the student performance in post-secondary institutions. This tracks the GPA of students their first year in a public higher education, in a public college. Now, this to me is not a very valid measure, and I'm going to tell you why. Number one, there's no reporting for out-of-state colleges, and we know we have seniors who go to out-state colleges. There's no reporting for private colleges unless they choose to do so on a voluntary basis, and even our state colleges do not have to report. And so if you look at that very bottom number, that 223 not found graduates, that doesn't mean they didn't go to college. It just means that they weren't able. And so we really take a look at what our students tell us they have plans for, and over 80% of our seniors last year told us they were planning to go to a 2-year or 3 or 4-year college, and we've supported them in trying to help them accomplish that goal. And so to me, this is not a valid measure, but I am required to share it with you. And so here is the information. The district annual report, the third and fourth components is the PEIMS Financial Standard Report. This was shared with you by Mrs. VIII in November, and remember she told us that we had no material weaknesses in our financial report, and Kent's department does an excellent job in making sure that everything's balanced, and we earn that superior rating in first. And so our accreditation status was connected to that first rating as well. And so this is really a nod to the finance department and what a great job they do as well. I just got nominated to tell everybody about it. And so then we have our campus performance objectives, and as you know, we shared our goals and our objectives in the summer with you, so that, and you all, really focused on were these the right things for us to focus on. And so we have 3 goals. Remember, our ABA, academics, behavior, and academics. Under academics, we have 7 objectives that are in all of our campus improvement plans. And then we have, we have goal 2, which is behavior. And so we have 3 objectives under there. And under attendance, we have 3 objectives. And so this is where these are all in our campus improvement plans. And Dr. Morgan does an amazing job of making sure that she supports our campuses and making sure that their goals and objectives are aligned to the district goals and objectives. Finally, we have our report on violent and criminal incidences. And so this chart shows us all of our elementary campuses, and we did, out of over 4,000 elementary students, we had 2 incidents last year that were documented on this report. And in this slide shows you our secondary campuses. And so again, we had 1 incident of all of our secondary campuses. And so that's over 4,000 students as well. And so in all of our over 8,000 plus students, we had 3 incidents last year. And so what I wanted to kind of share with you, just kind of to summarize at the end, is that I wanted to highlight some of the initiatives that are part of our district student behavior management framework. And this is Mr. Haugeberg's department, and he does an amazing job working with campus principals. But some of these things have actually come from our students. In Temple, we really focus on relationships. We focus on helping our students build positive relationships with their peers and helping our students build positive relationships with the adults in their building. And so our See Something, Say Something, our anonymous reporting has been just amazingly successful because our kids care about the safety of their school, and they care about what happens to each other and to themselves. And so they do a wonderful job of reporting and sharing that information for us, which allows us to respond very quickly. We also have a safety series that the high school's been running. I know we got great publicity for Stop the Bleed. We honored a student last board meeting for her passion about human trafficking. But again, our kids care about what happens to the other students in their building. And then Mr. Haugeberg's department's done an amazing job working with the assistant principals for restorative discipline, and we have a very strong social emotional education at all of our campuses. And so I'm very proud of the work the campus principals have done in support of that as well. And so at this time, that concludes the district annual report. And so if there are any questions, I can take them at this time before you open up the public hearing. Mr. Gaines.
Any questions? I will now open the public hearing for the 2017-18 District Annual Report. Anyone to speak for or against it? If not, thank you, Ms. Adams.
And then there is a requirement for the consideration of that.
This action item? This is an action item, so any questions? Have a motion?
Second.
Move for approval by Ms. Suarez, second by Ms. Gowan. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. It's been approved. Thank you. Move to next item, the student services. We don't have a report there. A board committee reports, facilities committee update. No meeting was held in December. And the special meeting was held on Friday, January 11th, 2019 at 8:30. And that's the report that Mr. Boyd went over with us. I guess he does have a report. Yeah. I'm sorry.
So the next meeting.
Next meeting will be Thursday, January 31st at 4 p.m. Policy committee update.
The policy committee met December 19th. The meeting was called to order at 4:02 p.m. Mr. Haugeberg presented conflict of interest disclosure flowcharts for the Board of Trustees, superintendent, and district employees. These flowcharts were developed based on a recent policy review to explain when disclosures are required. Due to Temple ISD's association with various community entities, district officials and staff should pay particular attention if they or their spouses are employed by a business entity, such as Scott & White or the City of Temple, that does business with the district. Disclosure forms are submitted to the superintendent's office, where they are kept on file. Dr. Ott added that in the future, any potential item would be communicated to the board president and the board prior to the meeting. Mr. Haugeberg gave a review on the following policies: BDAA, legal and local. Those are the duties and requirements of board officers. BDAE, legal and local. Duties and requirements of depository. BDAF, legal. Selection and duties of chief tax officials. The next meeting will be held Wednesday, January 30th, 2019 at 4 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Sorry, Mr. Haugeberg. I apologize. Student services, Eric.
He's just up there to do that.
Yeah, go over those, yeah.
Good evening. Today's board policy review includes 5 policies referring to the duties and requirements of board officers, as well as the requirements for a district depository and the selection of chief tax officials. BDAA, legal and local, outline the organization of the board of trustee officers. The legal requirement is for the board to have a president and a secretary, as well as any other officers or committee the board deems necessary. Local policy adds the requirement of electing a vice president. The formal reorganization of board officers must occur after each board election and can occur anytime the board desires. Some of the duties detailed in the policies include, for the president, call and presiding over the meetings, ensuring the financial statements are published, executing the sale and lease of property and mineral rights. For the vice president, to serve as president in the absence of the president. And for the secretary, to ensure accurate records are kept, meeting notices are posted, and signs documents that are directed by the board and serves as presiding officer if the president and vice president are absent. The next policy, BDAE legal, is the most detailed and cross-reference of the policies in tonight's review, and it combines the Texas Education Code, the Texas Administrative Code, and the Government Code, all of which highlights the importance the law places on this particular duty of the board. And this relates to the selection of the school depository, the bank of the district. By law, the district depository must be located in Texas and must be insured by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, that's the FDIC. And when it's time to select a depository, 60 days before the end of the contract or when it expires, the district has to choose a selection method. And these are similar to the construction type process, except in here, according to local policy, the superintendent has the authority to select this particular process. And the method can either be competitive bidding or requests for proposals, that's the RFPs. In the past, the district has used the RFP process to select the depository and bring a recommendation to the board. And I would anticipate in the future that this would be the same. But no matter what method is used, the board has the right to accept or reject the bid or the proposal that comes before it. Standard conflict of interest rules do apply, and if a member of the board is a stockholder, officer, or an employee of the bank isn't necessarily disqualified from consideration, but the board member must not vote or must not participate in the discussion about awarding the contract. The district must also mail to each bank located in the district a notice stating the time and date of the bids or the proposals and when they'll be received. The length of the depository contract is 2 years. The district may extend the contract for 3 additional 2-year terms, so the district, at a minimum, must go through this process every 8 years. And this is a change from the law from the 2017 legislative session. In the past, the district could extend it to 2-year terms, but now it's 3 additional ones. If we were still under the old law, we'd be requesting an RFP next month and begin that process. But with the new law, our conversation has been that we'll probably wait till 2021 before we undertake that. So you should be seeing an item for the depository contract extension here in the next, for BBVC Compass here in the board agenda for the next couple months or so. A major change, recent change, and I say recent, but it's happened in the last 10 years or so, occurred to this policy as a result of, if we remember, the Orange County, California county government going bankrupt due to some very high risk investments, and those didn't do well and they weren't properly insured. So now, by law, the depository is required to have a significantly higher level of collateralization for the funds that we deposit, and this is accomplished when the bank goes through their surety bonds or other approved securities. Okay, so that was one of the major changes that you'd heard about here in the recent past. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the last part of this policy that gives guidance on the Texas Bullion Depository, and that's within the State Comptroller's Office. So the district, if you as a board so chooses, you may deposit bullion or species into the Texas Bullion Depository as an investment, and in doing so, you can bypass the laws established by the Texas Education Agency regarding investments. And I'm sensing that it might be new to some of you, so I'll just make sure Mr. Boyd is chastised for such an oversight, and will. And And lastly, BDAF Legal deals with the selection and duty of tax officials. The board may employ a person to assess and collect the district's taxes, and this policy lists all the requirements and duty that this person must have and perform. But since the district contracts with the Bell County Appraisal District, they handle all of that for us. But again, the conflict of interest rules do apply. So you, as a TISD board member and/or your spouse, cannot serve on the Tax Appraisal District's Board of Directors. That is a conflict of interest. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Haugeberg. Appreciate that report.
Yep.
That concludes our business for this afternoon. Thank y'all all for coming.